here's another story we're going to have of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe with his father. 2 weeks ago we had that class of the story of his father teaching him how to give with a full heart and reprimanding him. So now we're going to have another story that's sort of along those lines. Let's read text number 1. Can we start with you, Jeff? On page 67.
When I was taught to recite, how do you pronounce it, Rabbi?
Moda Ani. And actually, before you go on, so Moda Ani is the very first thing we say when we wake up in the morning. I'm not going to discuss it much right now, but it basically is saying that we are thankful to God for restoring our soul to us. Okay, for giving us our life, rejuvenated life back. Okay, that's the first thing. When we wake up in the morning, before we get out of bed, that's what we say. We always acknowledge God for giving us our life back. So that's what the prayer is. Go ahead. So the previous Rebbe, who was the child in the story, again, states about this incident that he had with his father, like he did in the other story, that this is the embodiment of true education. What do you think about this story? What are the advantages of this parenting style, if any? Are there any advantages to it? Any advantages? Control. Is that an advantage? Well, for the parent it is. Is it an advantage for parenting? Okay, so it's a matter of respect. So that's the advantage of it. What are the disadvantages of this parenting style? Anyone?
It can be a lot more meaningful if they understand why.
Okay, very good.
And maybe at least not ever questioning things. Always just doing what people are telling you to do. And there's no independent.
And there's no independent thinking or anything, or independent development. Great. Yeah.
They can go the opposite way and say, well, if they're not going to tell me why, I'm not going to do it. I need to know why before I do something. And I've seen that happen.
Right. That the kid says, I need to know why.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Welcome. That's our generation. That's exactly our generation. Yes. Okay, good. Right. That is the issue. That kids, we'll discuss that. Can you think of times when you were asked a similar question, where maybe your kid asks you, but why? Why? I don't have to do that. Why do I have to do that? Can you that ring a bell for anyone, or it's just my kids? Okay, good. Okay. And then, of course, a good question to ask is, how did you respond to that? What do you do when your kids tell you why? What do you tell them? Well, I guess it depends on the scenario. But you try and explain. Okay, great. So, very often we're presented with questions by our children. Sometimes we have good answers, sometimes we don't. There's no question that the previous Rebbe's father had an answer to his question. If anyone had an answer to the question, his father did. The reason why his father was saying to him, you need to do it because you're told, is not because he didn't want to tell him the answer. It's because he was trying to teach him something else. And we sort of want to get to that soon. Like, if your child asks you, why do I have to go to bed now? Why can't I stay up late like you do every night? Right? What do we say? Do we have to explain that? Should we explain that to them? Or should we say, because I said this is your bedtime? If a child asks, why can't I have an iPhone? Which is usually is probably a 4-year-old, because every 6-year-old has one already. So why can't I get an iPhone? Because, or I have to give a reason. Well, you have to understand that with the phone, whatever you're going to explain about the iPhone. So that's what we're really getting at over here. What's the balance over here between my authority as a parent and my drawing my child in and not acting as an authority, but sort of working it out with them? Good question? Okay. As we understand the two dynamics, we're going to understand how very good this question is, and the ramifications are very significant. But without coming to this course, truly, we would never think it through in this way, or to this depth. So let's make an observation. Do you think today that or actually, let's go to page 69. In which ways does your parenting style, just a moment here. In which ways does your parenting style differ from your parents' parenting style? In direct connection to what we are actually discussing, what would you say? Huh? Yeah.
Choose your battles. I choose my battles. I don't fight everyone.
And what did your parents do? They battled everything, right? Everything was, I said so and you better listen. How many of you would say that your parents are more strict with you than you were with your kids? Okay, my hand's really up.